Chosen one, let me say first what few people have said to you. The long wait was not a sign that you were forgotten. It was the place you were being formed. And this Tuesday, the forming becomes the unveiling. God is revealing the person you were always meant to become. Not someone new you have to build under pressure. Someone real, someone He sealed inside you before the world ever taught you to live smaller. You did not arrive at this message by chance. A higher hand set the timing, and the strange pull you have felt toward more. That quiet ache that something bigger was waiting. That was never restlessness. It was memory. It was your soul, recognizing its own design. Hear this carefully, because it is true, and it is also a choice. Heaven has marked this Tuesday. But the door must be walked through. It cannot be waited on. What is revealed must be received. So stop defending the smaller self you outgrew seasons ago. The person standing just ahead of you, steady, unhidden, finally at home in their own life. That person is not a stranger. It is you, returning to yourself. Stay with me, chosen one. Before this ends, you will see the first sign that the becoming has already begun. Before we go deeper, one quiet word. Everything I am about to share with you is yours, freely. If at any point your spirit tells you there is more you are ready for, there is a link resting in the description and the pinned comment below. No pressure. It will simply be there. Now stay with me to the very end, chosen one, because of what this message holds for you. I am going to show you the real signs that this shift has already started in your life, so you stop second-guessing yourself. I am going to explain why the long, painful wait was not wasted and what it was actually building. You will meet the person you are becoming clearly enough to recognize them. And near the end, I will hand you one simple inner practice you can do right where you are, lying down or sitting still, that begins to close the distance this very week. None of it takes effort. It only takes that you do not leave. So, let me start where you already are, chosen one. Because the signs are not loud. They rarely are. They come quietly, in the places only you can see. The first sign is a restlessness that will not be talked out of. You have tried to reason with it. You have told yourself to be grateful, to be content, to stop wanting more. And still it returns, that low hum underneath an ordinary life, whispering that you were made for something you have not yet stepped into. That hum is not ingratitude. It is the calling, refusing to go silent. The second sign is that the old life suddenly feels too small. Rooms you used to fit in now feel tight. Conversations that once satisfied you now feel hollow. It is not that you have become arrogant. It is that you have started to outgrow a version of your life that was never your final form. Growth always feels like discomfort before it feels like freedom. The third sign is the quiet closing of doors. Things you thought you wanted have slipped away, and though it hurt, something in you was not as devastated as you expected, because deep down, you knew. Those doors were closing so you would stop wandering through the wrong ones. Heaven does not only open paths, sometimes it lovingly shuts the ones that lead nowhere. The fourth sign is what I can only call an inner rehearsal. In still moments, you catch yourself imagining a different life. A steadier you, a bolder you, a you who speaks without apologizing for taking up space. You brush it off as fantasy, but you keep returning to it, again and again, like a song you cannot stop humming. And the fifth sign is that time itself has started to feel different. There is a sense of soon, a feeling that something is gathering, that a season is about to turn. You cannot point to evidence, but your spirit keeps leaning forward, as if it already hears footsteps approaching that your eyes cannot yet see. Now let me decode what these signs are really saying, because together they form a pattern, and the pattern is not random. When restlessness, a shrinking old life, closing doors, an inner rehearsal, and a sense of soon all arrive in the same season, they are not 5 separate problems. They are one message, told 5 ways. They are the unmistakable mark of a person being moved out of preparation and into emergence. You are not falling apart, chosen one. You are being repositioned. And so I want to share what is pressing on my heart for you in this moment. It is as if the Father is saying, this Tuesday is a door, not a verdict. I am not handing you a magic day where the work is done for you. I am handing you a threshold, marked and ready, where the person I always saw in you can finally step into the light, if you will walk forward and not back. The day is set. The choice remains yours. That is the truth of this week. So let me show you why it took so long to arrive. Because here is what almost no one tells you about becoming. The wait is not the obstacle. The wait is the workshop. Think of Joseph, the dreamer sold by his own brothers, carried into a foreign land, forgotten in a prison for years he could not explain. From the outside, it looked like a life going nowhere. Delay stacked on delay. Injustice stacked on injustice. But underneath the visible failure, something invisible was being built. The boy with the dream was being formed into the man who could carry it. By the time the calling finally opened in front of him, he was ready, not because the wait was kind, but because the wait was thorough. That is what your long season has been doing, chosen one. What looked like delay was depth. What felt like being passed over was being prepared. The patience you learned in the silence, the strength you built when no one applauded, the faith you kept when there was no evidence to keep it, none of that was wasted. It was the underground work that makes the visible becoming possible. Seeds do not break the surface the day they are planted. They rise only after the unseen work below is finished. And yours is finishing now. Let me give you something simple to carry with you, because I think it will change how you see yourself. I call it the rehearsal principle. Remember that fourth sign, the way you keep imagining a steadier, bolder version of your life. Most people dismiss that as daydreaming, but here is the truth they miss. You cannot deeply long for a self you were never meant to be. Real fantasy fades. This one does not. It returns because it is not invention, it is memory. The soul does not imagine its design out of nowhere, it remembers it. So the next time that vision visits you, do not brush it away. Treat it as a preview, not a fairy tale. You are not making it up. You are remembering forward. Now, I want to be honest with you about something that connects to all of this, because it matters. There is a reason the world is so good at making us forget who we were meant to be. Researchers who study the brain have found that certain natural states of clarity and intuition, the very states children live in so easily, get quietly dimmed by years of ordinary modern life. A man named Dr. Robert Lake spent decades mapping this, and what he uncovered was not a single trick, but an entire body of work about how that buried capacity can be gently reawakened. We will come back to that. Hold the thread. Because of that research, something useful came out of it that I want you to know exists, and then we will keep going. Dr. Lake turned his findings into a simple 7-minute audio experience called The Genius Song. The idea behind it is gentle. It uses sound to help the brain settle back into the clearer, more awake state it knew before life dimmed it. The state linked to focus, intuition, and flow. That is all I will say for now. If something in you already leans toward that, the link is waiting quietly in the description and the pinned comment. There is no rush and no need to decide anything. Stay with me for the rest of this message, because what comes next is the heart of it. For those of you walking the whole way through, let me show you what this Tuesday is actually about to release. Because this is where it turns, chosen one. Everything so far has been recognition. Now we move toward release. This week is not just about noticing the signs. It is about what heaven is preparing to hand you the moment you stop running from it. But I have to tell you the truth, and the truth has two sides. There is a blessing being readied for you this Tuesday that is bigger than you have let yourself hope for. And there is one thing, only one, that has the power to delay it again. It is not your past. It is not other people. It is not even your circumstances. It is something quieter and closer than that. and most people never see it until it has already cost them another season. I am going to show you both, the blessing and the one thing standing in its way. Stay with me, chosen one. What I tell you next is the part you came here for. So here is the blessing being readied for you this Tuesday, chosen one, and I want you to receive it slowly, because it is not what most people expect. The blessing is not a sudden change in your circumstances. It is not a check in the mail or a stranger arriving to fix everything. The blessing is the return of your true identity. It is the lifting of the assignment you were never meant to carry, the small, cautious, apologetic version of yourself, and the placing back upon you of the original design heaven drew before. The world handed you a lesser story. This week, the gap between who you have been and who you truly are begins to close. And when that closes, everything downstream of it begins to shift. The decisions get clearer, the fear gets quieter, the doors that were stuck start to move. So let me give you permission for the things you have been waiting for someone to allow. You are allowed to want more without apologizing for it. The hunger inside you is not greed. It is calling. You are allowed to outgrow people and places that only knew the smaller you. Loving them does not mean staying small for them, and you are allowed to step forward before you feel ready, because readiness is not a feeling that arrives first. It is a decision that arrives, and the feeling follows. And so this is what I sense being spoken over you, chosen one, the words pressing on my heart as I speak. It is as if the Father is saying, I have watched you carry what you never complained about. I have counted the nights you chose faith when fear would have been easier. The one I always saw in you is not lost. This is the week I bring them into the light. That is the declaration over your life. Not maybe, not someday, this season. Now, I told you I would come back to something, and I will keep my word because it connects directly to this moment of becoming. Remember earlier when I mentioned the Genius song? Let me walk you through what it actually is, because it fits exactly where you are right now. I spoke about how certain natural states of clarity get dimmed over the years. Scientists have a name for this slow fading. They call it the decline effect. From around the age of 7, the systems of ordinary life, the schooling, the pressure, the noise, begin to quiet the brighter brain states we were all born with. Dr. Robert Lake, a neuroscientist with over 30 years of work behind him, studied this for decades. Using brain measurements taken in research settings connected to places like Princeton and other respected universities, he and others found something hopeful. That dimmed state is not gone. It is dormant, and it can be gently reawakened. For you, chosen one, this matters in a personal way. That brighter state of clarity and intuition is part of how the person you are becoming is meant to operate. It is not a luxury. It is the native frequency of the self heaven designed. Reawakening it is part of stepping into who you always were. Now I know what some of you are quietly thinking, because it would be honest to think it. You are thinking, I have tried things before, and they did not work. That is a fair thing to feel. You have probably tried meditation, or apps, or long methods that asked your mind to slowly change itself from the inside, which is slow and uncertain. This works differently. It uses sound to gently guide the brain from the outside, the way a tuning fork brings a string back into pitch. It is not one more thing on the same shelf. It is a different shelf, entirely. And maybe another part of you is thinking, this sounds too good to be true. I understand. That doubt is the mark of someone smart who has been let down before. So let me move from promise to evidence. More than 18,300 people have already used it. And of all those people, fewer than 4 in 100 ever asked for their money back. When almost everyone who tries something quietly keeps it, that tells you more than any promise ever could. Before I say anything about what it costs, let me say this plainly, because I would never disrespect your situation. For some of you, money is tight and real, and any amount is a genuine decision, not a small one. I honor that completely. So hear the rest, not as pressure, but as information you are free to use or set aside. Here is the honest math. People spend around $15 a month, every month, on calming apps. A single session with a counselor can run 150. A weekend retreat can cost hundreds. And as helpful as those can be, none of them were built specifically to reawaken this exact state. Dr. Lake compressed his life's work into a single 7-minute track, and the everyday price for it is $49, already far below the cost of almost any other path. But for those finding this message, he chose to lower it to $39. Not as a sale gimmick, but because his mission was always to put this in the hands of the people who actually need it. And you are clearly one of them. And it does not come alone. Along with the core track, you receive a gentle version made for children, valued at $19. The original book that inspired the film, The Secret, valued around $20. A guided visualization journey through the key areas of life, valued at $29. And a simple habit guide, valued at $12. That is, $80 in gifts, included free, with a $39 track. And every bit of it is protected by a full money-back guarantee, where you even keep the gifts. The only thing you risk is staying exactly where you are. Let me speak to the cost of waiting for a moment, chosen one, because it is real. Every day that brighter state stays dormant is another day of decisions made through fog instead of clarity. Another day, the becoming waits at the door. The future version of you, the one already standing just ahead, is looking back at this moment as a turning point. The choice does not have to be perfect. It only has to be honest. And let me protect you from one thing. Because something works, others will copy its name and sell hollow imitations that do nothing. If you decide this is for you, take only the link resting in the description and the pinned comment below, so you receive the real thing and not a counterfeit. So here is all I will ask. Do not decide right now whether to buy anything. Just do this. For the length of one slow breath, picture the version of you that already lives with that clarity, steady and awake, and ask yourself one quiet question. Is this the door? If your spirit says yes, the link is there. If it says not yet, that is all right too. Either way, stay with me, because we are almost to the part that seals it. The genius song will wait. This message will not come again the same way. Now, I have to tell you about the one thing that can delay all of this, because I promised you the truth, and this is it. The thing standing in your way is not your past. It is the guilt of growth. It is the strange, quiet fear that rises the moment you start to become more. A voice that asks, who am I to step into this? What will the people who only knew the smaller me think? Am I betraying where I came from by outgrowing it? That voice feels like humility, but it is not. It is the old identity fighting to keep its place. And if you listen to it, it will talk you back into the very life you were just set free from. So let me reframe it for you, gently and clearly. Outgrowing a season is not betrayal. The seed does not betray the soil when it rises. It fulfills the reason it was planted. You honor where you came from by becoming everything it was preparing you for, not by staying buried beside it. The people meant to walk with you into this next chapter will make the journey. The ones who cannot, you can love from a distance without dimming your light to make them comfortable. The only thing that delays this Tuesday is defending the smaller self you have already outgrown. Lay that defense down, chosen one. You do not need it anymore. So hear who you are now, clearly enough to never unhear it. You are not the person your fear described. You are the person your maker designed. You are not behind. You were being built. And the building is finished enough to begin. And you are not becoming someone new this week. You are returning to someone true, the one who was always there, waiting under the waiting. Let me make this simple. So you leave knowing exactly what to do, because I do not want you to walk away unsure. This Tuesday is a marked threshold, not an automatic miracle. The signs you have been feeling are real, and they mean you are moving from preparation into emergence. The long wait built the strength the becoming requires. The only real obstacle is the guilt of growth, that quiet voice defending the smaller you. Your work this week is to recognize that voice and choose forward anyway. That is the whole of it, not effort, just direction. So let us seal this together, right where you are. You do not need to get up. You do not need to change anything around you. Just be here, lying down or sitting still, for one quiet moment with me. Take one slow breath, and as you let it out, picture yourself laying a heavy coat on the ground. That coat is the smaller self, the apology, the fear, the assignment that was never yours. You are not throwing it angrily. You are simply setting it down, the way you set down something you no longer need to carry. Now picture, just a step ahead of you, the person you are becoming, steady, unhidden, at home in their own life. And without rushing, take one small step forward in your mind, into them. Let them fit, like they were always your size, because they were. And quietly, as the words settle on my heart for you, receive this. The one I always saw is no longer hidden. This is the week the light reaches them. Walk forward, and do not look back at the coat on the ground. Stay here in that for a breath longer. Let it be true. If these words reached something real in you, leave one short line in the comments. Just 3 words. I am becoming. Saying it out loud, even in writing, is how the inner choice becomes a real one, and it lets me know to keep sending messages like this your way. If this message met you where you are, let it know by leaving a like, so heaven's words find the next chosen one who needs them. And if you want to keep walking this road, stay close by subscribing, because this is only the beginning of what is being revealed. And if you know someone who has been waiting too long, quietly living below who they were meant to be, send this to them. Your share might be the marked threshold that someone else has been praying to find. This Tuesday, the becoming begins, chosen one. Walk through the door. The one you were always meant to be is already on the other side, waiting to meet you.